Hello and welcome to this first section of this new course, AI for Risk Management and Compliance Excellence. So in this section, we will give you an overview of how can you use AI for excellence in risk management and compliance. And we will begin by taking a look at a very broad question on which we will build the rest of the course is how can AI help build excellence in risk management and compliance? So that's what we will take a look at in this course. So how do you think you can use AI for excellence in risk management and compliance? Any thoughts on that? You know, using AI for risk management and compliance excellence can dramatically increase how organizations, assess the, identify, assess, monitor, and mitigate risk, right? And this is being done while ensuring that they stay compliant with complex evolving regulations. Now, what are the various steps that you can take to use AI for excellence in risk management and compliance and do all of this? Let us take a look at that as we go forward now. So the first thing you can do with AI is to identify and predict the risk. Now, AI can, proactively identify emerging risks. The words are proactive identification of emerging risks, because that's a very important thing. The risk is emerging and you've been able to identify them in proactively. So it can do that. It can do that by analyzing large volumes of structured and unstructured data. Again, the keywords here are large volume and structured and unstructured data both. Now, what are the kind of techniques that you can use for that? So first one is to use is NLP. NLP can analyze news, social media, regulatory changes, and internal documents to identify such risk. Then you can use machine learning models to detect patterns and anomalies in historical data like transactions, network logs, etc. And you also can use predictive analytics, which can anticipate, potential future risks like financial, operational, reputational, etc., etc. Now, as an example, you can use ML to detect unusual supplier behavior, which can indicate potential fraud before it impacts your supply chain. So that's the first thing you can do is of risk identification and prediction. So the second thing you can use AI to do in this area is to do regulatory compliance automation, which is a huge job, right? Regulatory compliance is a very big job. Now, AI can help you track regulatory changes across geographies and align internal policies accordingly. So you keep track of those changes and make sure that your internal policies comply with that. And what are the techniques that you can use for that? So there are regulation tech platform, reg tech platforms with AI engines that can scrape and interpret global regulatory updates. And then there are documentation classification and anti-recognition. You can do that to match rules with a relevant company policy. Say, for example, in AI-based tools like Ascent or AISD can automatically map new financial regulations to internal procedures, and that can reduce the compliance gaps, right? So that's how the regulatory compliance automation can happen with AI. The third thing is to do real-time monitoring and alerts with AI, use of AI. AI can enable continuous monitoring rather than periodic checks, and that can ensure real-time visibility into the risk, real-time visibility. Now, what are the techniques that you can use for that? The first one that we will take a look at in this course later on is real-time data ingestion and analytics pipeline. And the second one is anomaly detection models that can trigger alerts when thresholds are breached. To illustrate this, with AI you can monitor financial transaction for anti-money laundering violations using these models, which can detect suspicious patterns beyond the rule-based systems. So that's how you can do the real-time monitoring and alerts using AI. The third thing is fraud detection prevention, so very commonly known to everyone. Now, AI enhances fraud prevention, by spotting non-obvious correlation and outliers in the data and what are the things happening. And the kind of techniques that you can use are like behavioral modeling, using behavioral analytics, which uses past fraud cases. Then another emerging technique is graph analytics to uncover fraud networks. And then the last of the things that we will talk about here is the computer vision, which can detect document forgery. Say, insurance companies do use AI to detect fraud claims by analyzing historical data and claim narratives using NLP. So that's how AI is being used and can be used for fraud detection and prevention. The fifth thing you can do use AI is for risk scoring and prioritization. Now, AI assigns dynamic risk scoring to vendors, customers, and transactions based on their behaviors and attributes. How do they behave? What are the properties of their behavior and work? And the kind of techniques that you can use are like risk scoring models based on the Bayesian networks or supervised machine learning models, and reinforcement learning to update scores based on the new data and feedback. Banks prioritize audit activities by focusing on high risk portfolios dynamically identified by the AI. So that's how the risk scoring and prioritization can be done using AI. See, auditors use and can use AI to review 100% of the transaction, just not samples. And that can make their audits more thorough and less prone to oversight. And what are the techniques you can use in AI for that? The first one is, robotics process automation in AI. And there you can do intelligent control testing. And what that is and how that is done, we will have a lecture dedicated for that as you go forward. So hold your horses. The second thing you can do for audit and control is the text mining in audit trails and communication logs to determine where are the gaps. Now, Deloitte's Argus platform flags risky journal entries for audit teams using NLP and anomaly detection. So that's how AI-driven audit and control can be done. You can also use AI for compliance training and policy interpretation. AI personalizes employee training and helps interpret, policies and procedures in simple language. Simple language is hallmark of AI now. And for that, you can use chatbots for compliance queries from anyone who needs to, and adaptive learning platforms for scenario-based training. So you can do scenario-based training using AI-driven adaptive learning platforms. Now, a compliance bot that answers questions like what is our company policy on data privacy in Europe is a good example of compliance training and policy interpretation, right? Then you can also use AI for third-party risk management. AI can evaluate third-party risks by aggregating public data, news, sentiment, and financial signals, right? And the techniques you can use for that are like risk intelligence engines, which combine internal and external data to do this third party risk assessment, and AI based vendor scoring on ESG, compliance history, and creditworthiness. AI, for example, can flag a supplier with increasing litigation risk and poor ESG scores, prompting reevaluation of the vendor relationship. Another important thing that we talked about AI can do is scenario analysis and stress testing. AI simulates various adverse scenarios and estimates their potential impact more efficiently. You can do it faster, better, and more often. And the kind of techniques that you can use are like AI enhanced Monte Carlo simulations, which again we will talk about in one lecture. Scenario generation using GenAI for stress testing with LLMs. And, for example, these models find out the way the impact of the cyber breach across IT, legal, and PR function happens using AI-driven simulations. The 10th thing, you can use AI for reporting and regulatory filings. AI can automate, report generation for compliance with accuracy and consistency with the compliance bodies. And the techniques that are used there are like natural language generation (NLG) for report writing, and template-based document automation tools that can help you create the documents quickly using the templates. AI, for example, can generate automatically GDPR compliance reports or SOX documentation with the relevant AI templates. So, what are the tools and platforms that you can explore? So, there is IBM Open Pages that you can take a look at. ServiceNow GRC is another one. Logic K. I asked the for anti-money laundering, Comply Advantage, and KYC for KYC, Comply Advantage for KYC and AML, Ascent RegTech for updates on regulations, and BehaviorOps for compliance surveillance. So these are the various tools and platforms you should need to explore. Then, how will this whole thing move up in the future? Where will this go? You know, large language models is very much written in the future. They will increasingly act as compliance co-pilots. AI ethics and governance will become a core part of the enterprise compliance programs, and explainable AI will be necessary to justify risk models decision to regulators. So that's what is in store for the future. So what do we do next? So in the next one, we will take a look at few case studies, starting the next lecture of how AI has helped build excellence in risk management and compliance. And we have three case studies coming up. I will leave their names for you to be discovered as you go forward. So let's take a look at the next lecture. We will take up a first lecture in the risk management and compliance area. So thank you so much for watching this first lecture on AI for risk management and compliance excellence. I hope you continuing to learn new things, continue to enjoy, and I do look forward to see you again in the next lecture. Please feel free to message me if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer your questions, and do download the PDF file to take a look at anything that you need to.